There's so much from our college days that didn't translate to real life. Our waistlines, living on a budget, drinking like there's no tomorrow, waking up at 6 p.m., and eating nothing but ramen for a month. None of that stuff is sustainable, but it was fun while it lasted. The same goes for college football and the NFL. There's stuff that works on Saturdays that you just can't do on Sundays. College that didn't work in the NFL is coming up right after this. Ah yes, it's fall, and you know what that means. Leaves falling off trees, and pubes falling off ball sacks? What? Yeah, you heard me. School is back, and if you want any chance of hooking up, the bushes around your tree better be trimmed down. Plus, it makes it look bigger. That's where the Perfect Package 4.0 Performance Bundle comes in, featuring the Lawnmower 4.0, the newly redesigned waterproof cordless trimmer that has skin-safe ceramic blades, and now has a power meter and travel lock. Personally, I love the power meter as it acts like a nightlight when it's charging, so I can see and not pee on the floor. You can use it to find your way through your dorm in the dark. The kit comes with all the things you need: crop preserver, ball deodorant, crop reviver, ball wipes, even a fresh pair of boxers, and a free travel bag. So after this video, head on over to manscaped.com/5-points and get 20% off your order and free international shipping. Again, that's manscaped.com/5-points from the link below. And watch things fall around you with confidence. Manscaped, man maintenance for the modern gentleman. Number 5, Steve Spurrier's fun and gun offense. The old ball coach won a Heisman Trophy in his playing days and 6 SEC titles during his reign as head coach of the Florida Gators. However, when Steve Spurrier made the jump to the NFL, his old system didn't click in the new environment. In 2002, Spurrier resigned as the head coach of the Gators and penned a contract with Washington, where he implemented his famous fun and gun offense, a philosophy that leaned on the pass about 56% of the time. One big problem: Spurrier's quarterbacks. His first year in our nation's capital, Spurrier trotted out 3 different QBs: ex-Gator Shane Matthews, ex-Gator Danny Warfel, and Patrick Ramsey, a rookie out of Tulane. Together, the 3 signal callers were good for 7 wins, but things fell apart for the ball coach in year 2 when Washington finished 5-11, not too good, spelling the end for Spurrier. There were lots of problems for the fun and gun Spurrier didn't foresee, like blitz packages that took advantage of his misaligned play formations, and his assurance that ex-Gators knew his system, and even though they had been cast off by every other team in the league, just knowing the fun and gun would equate to wins. Not shockingly, the charismatic head coach butted heads with butthead owner Daniel Snyder, who meddled in personnel decisions and tried repeatedly to strong-arm Spurrier into doing what Snyder wanted. Spurrier himself said in 2003 he knew it was over when he wasn't allowed to pick the backup quarterback. Spurrier returned to the SEC, where he coached the South Carolina Gamecocks for 11 years to the tune of an additional 5 bowl wins. Obviously, it didn't work out in the NFL, but it wasn't all bad in the pro ranks for Steve. He did win a default AAF title with the Orlando Apollos when the league folded back in 2019. Number 4, Timothy Richard Tebow. You knew this was coming. Tim Tebow's latest cosplay as an NFL tight end was unsuccessful, short-lived, and another reminder that the former Heisman and BCS champ, as built as he was not built for the NFL. Now, it's impossible to tell the story of Tim Tebow, the pro football player, without unpacking his 2011 season, when he led the Broncos to a 7-4 record in the regular season before shocking the Pittsburgh Steelers with a walk-off 80-yard touchdown pass in the wild card round. Still, that season, Tebow completed under 47% of his passes, averaged 6.4 yards per attempt, and averaged 123 passing yards per game, while being bailed out by Matt Prater multiple times. 2011 was primarily a testament to the emergence of Von Miller as a dominant pass rusher, Willis McGahee's re-emergence at running back, and Champ Bailey's last great year at corner. Oh, and Demaryius Thomas before he got hurt. Tebow was certainly a different player when it mattered, but his late-game heroics simply weren't a sustainable model for success at the highest level. Saying Tim Tebow didn't work out in the NFL doesn't diminish the magic of his one season as a starter, But it does say something that a quarterback who won a playoff game never started a single regular season game after that. In fact, after Tebow's 2011 season, he only appeared in 11 more games in 2012, this time as a New York Jet and mostly as a Wildcat option. Ultimately, there were a lot of things Tebow's talent and good looks didn't translate to. Baseball, TV, blocking, but damn it, he's a nice guy. Tim, I'm sorry I took the Lord's name in vain. Number 3, ruling with an iron fist. Let's remember what should have been a very forgettable play from the 2012 season. The Giants led the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by 7 points with 5 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Rather than accept defeat graciously, Bucs head coach Greg Schiano ordered his men to go all out on what he knew would be a casual kneel down. The ridiculous all-out blitz took the Giants by surprise, knocking Eli Manning on his back, but did absolutely nothing to change the outcome of the game. Schiano's tactics drew the ire of critics, even fellow hard-ass Tom Coughlin. But the former Rutgers coach doubled down on the move. I don't know if that's not something that's done in the National Football League, Schiano said after the game. What I do with our football team is that we fight until they tell us game over. We're not going to quit. That's just the way I coach and teach our players. If some people are upset about that, that's just the way it goes. Schiano's my way or the highway approach eventually resulted in the highway after 2 losing seasons in Tampa. Ruling with an iron fist may have been a tactic that worked in the early 2000s as Schiano turned Rutgers from a doormat into a legit contender. But in the NFL, players and coaches were taken aback by the oppressive style of leadership. How bad is it there? It's worse than you can imagine, said an anonymous NFL player who spent 2012 with the Bucs. It's like being in Cuba. Surprisingly, NFL players don't yearn for a guy in wraparound Oakleys grabbing them by the face mask and spitting in their talk hole. Number 2, the Chip Kelly offense. Chip Kelly's stint in the NFL was not an immediate disaster, far from it in fact. In his first season as head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Kelly's offense unlocked the potential of second-year quarterback Nick Foles, who threw an absurd 27 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, including 7 touchdowns in 1 game. But Chip Kelly wasn't known for being a quarterback guru at Oregon. He was known for his signature Chip Kelly hurry-up offense. It's ironic that an offense designed by a man who looks like Chip Kelly moved as quickly as it did, but his offense moved at breakneck speeds. It's also ironic that he looks like he has a broken neck. In 2014, Kelly's second year in Philly, the offense snapped the ball every 22 seconds, the fastest time since the NFL began tracking time between snaps. Like with any gimmick, Kelly's offense had a finite shelf life, and after a pair of winning seasons, the bloom came off the rose. Behind the frantic pace was an offense that was actually fairly simple and predictable, and by year 3, defensive players began calling out which plays the Eagles were going to run before they ran them. And even worse, if the hurry-up offense didn't convert first downs or score, it put the defense back on the field with almost no time to rest. It was like a self-replicating spiral of disaster, which kind of describes my YouTube channel. Chip Kelly was ousted after 3 years in Philadelphia, then fired after a single 1-15 campaign with the 49ers. Back to college went Kelly, and from there he shall remain. And now, the number 1 shitty college thing that didn't work in the NFL. USC quarterbacks. USC is one of the most storied programs in the history of college football, and they've got a quarterback lineage to match it. The only problem is almost none of them seem to figure it out at the next level. Let's go down the list of USC quarterbacks that have been drafted since 1989, starting with Rodney Peete, followed by Todd Marijuanovic, Rob Johnson, Matt Castle, Matt Leinart, John David Booty, Mark Dirty Sanchez, Matt Barkley, Cody Kessler, and finally, Sam Darnold. Out of those names, the biggest bust so far appears to be Matt Leinart, who won a Heisman and 2 BCS championship, technically, at Southern Cal, but lost his job to Kurt Warner in Arizona. Fellow Matt Barkley was poised to potentially become a top 10 pick had he left after the 2011 season, But he decided to stay another year at USC and ended up falling to the 4th round in the 2013 draft. History would not have looked kindly on some poor team blowing a first-round pick on Matt Barkley in a draft that included Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson, and Ryan Tannehill. As for Sam Darnold, the story is not yet complete, but it's fair to call his stint as a New York Jet an abject failure. He's going to get another shot in Carolina, but if he can't right the ship, it's time to welcome him to the USC quarterback graveyard. You might notice there's one name that I've left out, and that's Carson Palmer, who's far and away the best Trojan quarterback to ever play in the NFL. But still, when you look at Palmer's physical talent and his pedigree as a number 1 overall pick, it feels like there was something missing in his career. Maybe that's a product of spending too much of your life in Cincinnati and Oakland, or maybe it's further proof that USC quarterbacks just don't translate. But why is that? One reason is that USC has always surrounded their quarterbacks with stellar supporting casts, hiding some or most of their flaws. You can also point to the fact that the Pac-12 defenses just aren't up to par with units like you see in the Big Ten or the SEC, where those signal callers have to wade through a much tougher schedule. But the last and most compelling reason is obvious. They're rich kids that fall apart under pressure. I don't have any stats that back that up, but come on. Just look at these dudes. College is a place to learn, but once it's over, we're forced to evolve, both in life and in football. With each college to NFL failure, we learn something new about the differences between the two, and we adjust accordingly. So in conclusion, I'm not saying don't draft Keaton Slovis next year, but he does look like a rich kid. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting videos on sports and the NFL. I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to my next video.